I gotta be 100% honest with y'all about everything. How this whole reveal by the devs has allowed me to see what the future of the division can possibly be. My understanding and perspective are very clear now, especially since Yannick played with us in the stream. He answered questions that we all ask, and I say we because I also play with Kamikaze Von Doom, Gammy Daddy, Splinter Shield, DJ Tickle, MC Guns, and others. It was a very nice stream, and so many of you showed up. I couldn't have asked for a better turnout, and we all had questions for him. But there's only so much I can say in a thumbnail and title. Is Countdown underwhelming? I have so much more than that alone to address, but is it underwhelming? This was the issue brought to Yannick's attention, and my first impressions of Countdown were that it felt like an incursion from Div 1. And by the way, none of the new gear and weapons are going to be locked behind this mode. The matchmaking is like a raid, and as we played, it felt really easy. No problem breezing through every match we had, even with less than 8 people. 5 even. So we told Yannick about it. Here's his response.
Come all on,
Yannick, I guess the main question is there going to be a harder difficulty on this, or is it just going to stay on normal?
Well, so far that's that difficulty. There's only one. But I guess we'll see where the feedback takes us. And then if we need to make a harder version, sure.
Please.
I vote for a harder version, please. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the overall from all of us playing, yeah.
But it's so full disclaimer here, I do think that the time to kill is on the low end. I don't think this is where we want it to be. At least from the playtest we've had on internal builds before that, it does feel much faster right now. Yeah, but I mean, like, you know what we're going for? What we are going for with this is just like, we don't really have a lot of content in the game that allows for short sessions where you jump in and you know that you're just going to be playing for like 15 minutes. So that's kind of what we wanted. And we wanted something that's like short and just intense, just 15 minutes of fun.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, that's nailing it right on the head then.
What I got from this was that the devs want people to be able to come back into the game and have fun. In the meantime, they're working behind the scenes to start bringing us content throughout the rest of the year, while being available as well, like on Twitter and providing updates, you know, because for a while you and I both know there's nothing in the last almost 2 years like there's been in the last 2 days. Twitter has been popping, man. Every content creator I know has uploaded everything they possibly can about what's out so far, and this shows me personally that there will be a Division 3 announcement in the near future that will accompany transparency from the devs, which is good. In regards to how it actually felt to play Countdown for me, I gotta say, it got boring really fast. It didn't really intrigue me enough to want to play more. And you know those elite technologically advanced enemies they mentioned in the patch notes? Those are hunters. No new enemy types or anything, to be clear. And here's the thing, I didn't know about this until after I got into the PTS. This had never happened to me in any PTS before, but I went to the vendor in the base of operations, tried to get those PTS weapon and gear caches, and they weren't there. I thought there had to be some kind of mistake. Was I actually in the PTS? Well, it turns out that stuff is not available yet. I was looking forward to testing them out. I mean, to me, missions and new modes are secondary to gear and weapons. But anyway, we also asked Yannick about this, and he said they wanted us to focus on Countdown and wanted a lot of feedback from that primarily without our opinions being conflicted with everything else. Plus, he said most of the weapons and gear aren't even ready yet. So all of this will be available in Phase 2 of the PTS, which is, I think, a week from now. And that's the next time I'll be streaming. And that stream is going to be live. I'm going to tell you that for sure. This experience has taught me a lot about how to move forward with the Division 2 overall. Because after so long without any content or word from the devs, after experiencing everything new so far, it really cleared things up for me. I've realized that we need more, in a nutshell. Not more in the sense of new exotics, named gear and such, but more of something that will reignite the Division community. We've been left in a desolate desert for a long time, and one glass of water just won't suffice. We need an oasis. This oasis can be a Division 3 announcement, maybe a game mode that's more engaging to the extent of people not getting bored after 2 to 3 runs. It's a subjective view. Some people may love it, some people don't love it. But I was talking to Coldboy, and he made an awesome suggestion about what it could be. And who knows, they might implement something different, because the PTS, the whole purpose of it is to give feedback to the devs, and that's what they want. And hopefully they make changes based on that. But here's what Coldboy suggested. Make Countdown 8v8, PvE, VP, same objectives and premise, but it's last team standing, race to the extraction. I think that would be perfect. We've never seen the legendary modes from back in the day like Last Stand, and those are the type of engaging modes I was speaking about. Even if this PTS and content wasn't intended to be a grand reveal comeback, like Yannick said in his tweet, And I quote, "Agents, before we all jump on to the PTS, there's something I'd like you to keep in mind. The year we've spent working on the game in silence was not spent making one gigantic comeback update. It was spent organizing and preparing for continuous support for the game. The importance of this update is not its size, but in it heralding a return to normal with more to come after that. If this update doesn't contain the changes or content you were hoping for, just remember that there are more updates coming throughout the year. I hope we can all share a happy moment and rejoice that support for the game is resuming. We're live again." Now, he tweeted this out before any of us could play the PTS. Maybe he knew how the community would respond and had to tweet this as reassurance. So that being said, I'm not trying to speak bad about this update. I'll give it a little more time and wait for what they have in store in the months going forward. I can't say the same for other players in the community though. Based on feedback I've received from community posts, Twitter, and video uploads I've put out, it has not been that positive. So in this particular case, I don't think the update should have pulled any punches. They needed to go all out, in my opinion, just for this update. I was also speaking to 𝐷𝐻𝐵 about the PTS briefly. He said it best, and I quote, "When the update rolls out, people are going to upload builds and ideas as usual, but nothing to reinvigorate the community to say, let's all come back." I agree with him. I gotta be honest with myself and you. I'm a fan of the Division 2, man, for real. But I'll give it the merit it deserves based on what they give me. Yes, I will be making builds as usual. There will be a new meta, and I'll find a way to break it. But beyond that, the game will go back to its original state, unfortunately. Hopefully not, but that's the way it looks. I mean, it seems inevitable based on the nature of these type of updates. Now, there is an expertise system where you'll be able to actually increase your base stats, which is beyond optimization. There has to be a reason to want to do that, and so for me, would be perfecting my builds, and that's one good thing that'll add replayability. This situation could actually be a case where the Division in general has run its course, and we just need a new installment of the franchise. That happens. And as dedicated players, we tend to get to a point where we end up beating a dead horse when in reality there's nothing to be done except let it be. Unless updates going forward are Division 1 patch 1.8 caliber, which literally brought that game back to life. Here's where I stand on all of this. I'm indifferent. Countdown is mediocre at best for now. And I can't pretend to be excited about something simply because it's content we finally get after 2 years. On the contrary, I'll always be hype about new gear and weapons because if anything, new builds and playstyles will always give me a reason to play. That's what's unique about the Division 2, and they'll never go away. And who knows, this might actually indirectly make PvP better. The Crusader shields are not nearly as effective, which means it will force players to use other skills. Intimidate will require more intuitive thinking to make it work effectively enough to be viable, and I cannot wait to take on that challenge. So overall, I think that with these changes, they're trying to incorporate a long-range tactical combat style of play, which is good for a game like the Division. I need to deep dive more into that aspect of the PTS, but I'll update you once I do. So that's where I stand at the moment. I'm leaning more towards optimism in this case because, for one, I'm a patient individual, and two, the devs are back on board and have confirmed that they're actively working on the game again. I just think that the majority of the Division 2 community needed more for an update so long overdue, if not for anything but reassurance. Because after all this time, people tend to lose interest and move on, especially if they feel like it's more of the same. That's my 2 cents on the matter, and this won't be my only discussion. We got an entire month to test out the PTS. There'll be changes to Countdown, new weapons and gear to test out, so you'll definitely be hearing from me again. Until then, be right out.